Good morning and happy Vlogmas day 10. Today is Saturday. It's a very gloomy and wet and kind of gross Saturday. I think there's like an East Coast storm going on. I'm not really sure. I heard about it yesterday. I had no idea that there was a storm that was taking over the whole East Coast, but we've had non-stop rain all morning. It's supposed to rain all day. Of course, I have to start my day with my coffee, but first I have to take care of my fur baby, so it's time to feed him. So I know I showed you guys Bentley's food 2 days ago, but in addition to his dry food, I also feed him this. Oh, it stinks. Fresh Pet. It's that like refrigerated dog food. I give him some of this on top of his kibble. So I didn't really get the chance to give my review on my soup yesterday. If you watched yesterday's vlog, you saw that I shared a recipe. It was like a creamy, lemony, garlic, butter bean or lima bean soup. If you know, you know what I'm referencing. But it was amazing. I found that recipe on Instagram, believe it or not. I was just scrolling literally like 2 days ago and it came up on my explore page. And so I tend to save a lot of recipes that I come across, and then some of them I will try out. And I would say that most of them have been successes. They are all either vegetarian or vegan because I am vegetarian. This recipe happened to be vegan, but I promise it's really good, and it can be modified, but it doesn't need to be. Like if you wanted to put some maybe like shredded chicken or something in it, I'm sure it would taste fine. But the soup came out really good. The only thing I would have tweaked is, for one, I didn't measure my seasonings. I probably should have measured them because I put just a little bit too much rosemary. I am a big fan of rosemary, but I put a lot, like a lot more than I needed, I should say. And the other thing is, maybe instead of just putting the dried rosemary in there, I could have grinded it down. Like if it was powdered dried rosemary, I think it would have worked a little bit better. But because it was just dried rosemary leaves, they kind of stayed in the soup. But overall, I would give the soup like a, maybe like an 8.6. The taste was good. It wasn't too like of a complex taste, and I love that you get in that kind of hidden protein. I am a little bit in a rush. I'm going out today, so I'm just about to do my makeup, so I figured why not film a little get ready with me. So I hope you guys will enjoy this video. This will be a very quick video because I only have about 15 minutes to spare, so let's do this. First, I'm gonna put some music on. I hope you guys can't hear that because I don't want to get copyrighted. I do have a mirror here, so that's what I'm looking at most of the time. And of course, I have to have my coffee. Okay, 10:35. I gotta be finished by 10:50 the latest. So to start, I'm moisturizing. I'm just using this moisturizer by The Ordinary. I showed this in my morning skincare routine video. It's the natural moisturizing factors plus hyaluronic acid. I'm just using a little bit of this just to give myself a nice base. So my base is always just not. Sometimes I use primer, but today I'm not. I am doing a little bit of eyeshadow today, just a little, because when I do eyeshadow, I tend to like go a little overboard or put the eyeshadow in the wrong place or something. So I'm just using this Anastasia Beverly Hills palette. These are individual eyeshadows, and when you buy enough of them, they come with the holder, the case. So I'm just using this brown color and putting it on my lids just for some dimension on my lids, nothing crazy. And I'm just following the shape of my eyes. And we're not going above the crease, just putting it in the crease. And see, I already look a whole lot different. Just want to blend this a little bit better. Especially because I know I'm going to be wearing glasses. I'm wearing my glasses today, I'm not taking them off, so just use a finger to like clean that up, or you can use a Q-tip. I'm just smudging it down there because I don't really want it to peek over this. And so later we'll add a little bit more eyeshadow. So the next step that I do is my eyeliner, just because when I do my eyeliner, I rest on my face a lot, so I do it before I put my foundation on. Just using the Sephora eyeliner. This is also a product that I talked about in my unboxing. I think that was a 7 of Vlogmas. So this is what the brush looks like. Just a normal brush, not a felt tip, a brush. But if it was a felt tip, that would be fine too. I don't mind those. And so I start my eyeliner in the middle and draw it out. Just a nice thin line. I like to make my liner as thin as possible because I have hooded eyelids, and so you can't see much of my eyelids. So after I do the line from the middle to the end, then I come back to the inner corner. I usually don't re-dip it yet. Just use what's left on the brush to go back to the inner corner because you'll have less product. You want less product on that inner corner, or else it'll look really heavy, and that's how you end up with like a messy eyeliner. So now I've re-dipped, wiped it off, and we're just going over the middle because it tends to drag off a little. And then using that same product, we draw a wing going up towards the tip of our brow. And when you connect the wing back down, because I don't just do a line, I do an actual wing. So when we do that, we don't start from the tip, we start a little bit down, just like a few millimeters down. Make sure you squint your eyes so you don't have the folds there. And you bring it in towards the liner. And then we just fill it in. And now you can re-dip and just go over any empty areas. And if your wing is fine, do not go over it because you might mess it up. So that's how I do my wing. Sometimes I do it like this, how it's kind of curvy up. Like it's not too bad, but I prefer mine when it's really straight, but I'm just leaving it like this because this is just how I'm gonna do it today. And so now we're just doing the same thing on this eye here. And even though I'm experienced at doing my own liquid eyeliner, sometimes I mess up. Very rarely, but sometimes I have to like wipe it all off and start over. And so now we have our 2 wings. And if you want to clean up any parts of your liner, you can do that. And so the reason why I do my liner as thin as possible is because with hooded eyes, like, you see, you can't see my eyelid that much, especially because I'm looking up right now. But even if I look down, you can only see the liner and you see a little bit of the lid. You can do it thick where your whole lid is covered in liner, but I just prefer to have a little bit of lid, bare lid showing. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is, I use this NARS color corrector. It's called the Radiant Creamy Color Corrector. Now this is in the color Deep. It's a red color corrector, so this cancels out any darkness that I have on my face, hyperpigmentation. So I usually just do a little bit here. I know it looks crazy when you put it on, but I just put a little bit there. I don't really have dark under eyes, so I don't put it under my eyes, but some people do. You can also put it on any scars that you might have. You do this step before you put your concealer on. So what I do is I just buff this out, and I learned about color correcting especially with red like this, from Jackie Aina. So shout out to Jackie Aina for putting the girls on. And so I don't want it to show up too red, so I do buff it out a bit. And so you just want to make sure the lines, because it applies with that little tiny applicator brush, just make sure it's buffed out enough and like it fades into the rest of your skin. So this is how it looks Yes, it looks very red. But now we are going to use some concealer. This is my old concealer that I'm about to throw away. It's just the Born This Way multi-use sculpting concealer. I use it in the color Butterscotch. Just put a little bit there, and I'm gonna put a little here. Now we're gonna cover the red up with some of that concealer. This was just the first layer to cover that red color corrector. It's not gonna fully cover it because we're gonna put a lot of concealer, but this is just the first layer. So you see it took away some of that redness, most of the redness, but it's still a little bit there. We're not buffing it fully away yet. And so now I just want to blend this in, and blend this in. So now we're doing foundation. So this is very old foundation. This is from like, how old is this? Like 2 years old? I don't know. This is my Becca foundation. If you know, you know. Becca is no longer with us. But this is the Ultimate Coverage Foundation by Becca. I bought that like right when it was announced that Becca was going out of business, which I think was 2020. So I probably finished whatever foundation I was using at the time, and then after, like months or maybe a year after, is when I opened that. And so we're just dabbing our foundation. I usually just dab it on my cheeks and a little bit down here. I don't apply the first like dab of foundation to my forehead at all. After it's off of the brush, then I'll go and add a little bit right here and leave that to buff out when we're finished blending and buffing down here. So now I'm just gonna do that. Just gonna buff this out, being sure to get our cheeks. And so I do try to like stipple, but sometimes I do like little swipes. Just makes everything move faster. And we are on a time crunch today, so it's not that big of a deal. You want to make sure you get that to blend up to your under eye area, so there's no like line of demarcation where there's no concealer or foundation. Just get it up there as high as possible. And then now that we've finished blending into our face, I'm doing it here. So you just want to blend as much as possible. And so as you can see, that redness is no longer, because we covered it with concealer and we covered it with foundation. So there's 2 layers of makeup on top of that. And so you cannot see that redness. And what I'm doing is I'm just coming down a little bit to my neck. Not too low. I never understand how girls do like their whole neck. Could never do that. So the next thing I'm doing is I'm taking one of these Fenty matchsticks, I believe they're called. Fenty Beauty matchsticks, yes, I use these all the time. So this is in the color Truffle, so I just use this to give myself a little bit of a cheekbone. Nothing major. And then sometimes I will put a little bit right here just to snatch my neck a little. And I do put some right down the line of my nose. And then we're just gonna put a boop and a boop. So using a bronzer brush, this is a different brush that I use for my bronzer and contour. I just blend that in, just in a straight line. And then you want to kind of buff it a little bit up and down. As soon as it blends out better, then you can start to kind of buff it out a little bit more. And we just do it just up and down to start, and then buff it out a bit more into the cheek. Still have to buff a little bit more. Sometimes I'll take my original foundation brush and try to buff it out a bit more like that, because we don't want any harsh lines. So if that means they're buffing for like 10 minutes, then that means you're buffing for 10 minutes. And then we don't want to forget to buff out the makeup we put down here. It's just going to give us that fake snatched jaw. And then we take the nose contour, and I just squeeze my brush because I use the same brush. I just squeeze the brush so that it's flat. We go up and down the nose. And make sure there's no harsh line left on your nose. You want to buff that out as much as possible. And then, last but not least, just buff out what we put up here. We didn't put much because I don't do that much up here. And so this is how we're looking so far. The next step is I take a bit of actual bronzer. This is the Fenty, what is it? Oh, crap, I need a tissue. My whole nail just went into that bronzer. That's crazy. It's gonna be a bit messy. Okay, so this is the Fenty Beauty Sunstalker in the shade Cocoa Naughty. So it's just this nice brown color. I just swirl. We just go on top of where we put the contour. Nothing major. We are 5 minutes over. Okay, and then the next thing we do is our blush. So I use, this is my longtime staple. It's NARS Dolce Vita. Similar to NARS Orgasm, but it's just a shade different. It's just a bit of a deeper pink, or like more of a mauve-y pink, I would say. It does have a little bit of shimmer in it, which is fine with me. I like the shimmer. It's not noticeable at all. So we're just putting blush on our cheeks. And I go in an upward motion. So start at the apples and I go up. And I don't mind a lot of blush, especially this shade, because it's very subtle. And it's a cute pink. It works with my skin tone. I'm sure it works with a bunch. And I always put a little bit of blush just on my nose. Just gives it that cute flush look. Okay, so that's it for blush. And then the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take our Anastasia Brow Wiz. Remember the sample that I talked about in Vlogmas Day 7? So first we just give our brows a little bit of a brush. And then we use the other side, which has the pencil. So I don't do anything crazy to my brows. I start with the ends, the tail, and I just fill it in. Like there's nothing special about what I do to my brows. I don't do too much on the end because I don't want my ends looking crazy. And then we just come back and just fill in the sparse areas, which for me are mostly here. When I get to the beginning here, I just very slowly, very lightly add some, nothing crazy. Because this is where the craziness will show up right here. When you have too much makeup product on the beginning of your brows, you can tell. And that's it. Very light-handed. That's why the sample works, and that's why the product lasts a long time, because you don't really have to use a whole lot. So we're just gonna do the same thing on this side. And if you put too much anywhere, you can just use your finger, honestly. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the same eyeshadow brush and just buff it out. It did get a little oily, which is bound to happen. I have oily lids and I didn't use eyeshadow primer. That's what eyeshadow primer is for. And so I'm doing a very simple look. So today I'm just gonna use another Anastasia shadow shade, which is this gold color here. This is like my go-to. I'm just putting a little bit and just putting it right in that inner part, just to give me a little color, and then blend it out to the lid. And it will blend in with that brown, just like that. So same thing on the other eye. Start it mostly at the beginning and then just blend it out to the ends. You always want to start with a brown base, so that's what I do. That's why I started with that brown earlier. I'm just gonna put a little bit of mascara on. This is Fenty Beauty Full Frontal. I don't know if they still sell this mascara, but I had this in my stash unopened. I just opened it about 2 weeks ago because I have so many beauty products that I have unopened just sitting on my dresser up there waiting to be opened. And you know what happens? I buy a new product not knowing that I have one already, or I get a sample and I use the sample before I use the product that I have. It's just a mess. So we're just doing a little mascara. I'm not doing lashes today because I don't have time, and I don't always wear lashes anyways. So we just do a simple little wiggle wiggle, nothing crazy about applying mascara, but we are doing multiple coats. That's important because I have little baby lashes, so I'm just gonna do maybe three coats of mascara, and I'm only putting mascara on the top. I do like the look of mascara on the bottom, but it gets messy real quick, so I usually don't do that. And then the final step that I forgot is, personally, I like to put black liner on my under eye, and so I usually do save this for last. I just like the look of black liner under. You want to do that as close to the lash line, the bottom lash line, as possible. Okay, so this is the final look, all done. If you want, you could always add more blush or more bronzer or more contour or less. It's up to you. It's the beauty of makeup. So now that my face is done, it's time for me to go get ready. Thank you guys so much for joining me on Vlogmas Day 10. I hope you enjoyed this quick little makeup look, and I will see you guys tomorrow for day 11. Bye.
So lovely.